YouTube! I specifically came home from France a little bit early, I'm not even joking, to see Fantastic Beasts.
I thought it was to see me.
Well, I wanted to see Fantastic Beasts with you.
Me.
So we saw Fantastic Beasts on Thursday. We've had 2 days to process, and I wanted to make a video review of Fantastic Beasts because I never made the Cursed Child review that I promised people because I just couldn't. This is not a video about Cursed Child. This is a video about Fantastic Beasts. So we've finally seen it.
Overall, I liked it.
When we left the theater Thursday, I was very wrapped up in things that I thought didn't make sense, the things that were confusing. But now that I've had 2 days to decompress, I actually am more intrigued. I've actually been reading Harry Potter over again.
I didn't know we were supposed to study for this video.
Well, it's what I do. I'm a Harry Potter fan. It's what I do. I realized when I left that part of the reason I had such a weird taste in my mouth about the movie is that I just did not care about Grindelwald at all. And part of that was because I didn't really remember anything about him because I hadn't reread Harry Potter in a very long time and I hadn't gotten to the 7th book yet in my reread. So we don't know anything about him.
Right.
So I was refreshing my memory on Grindelwald and kind of all of the stuff that came to light in Rita Skeeter's book about Dumbledore in the 7th book. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot more there than I remembered, which kind of made me care more. But I don't think that the movie itself made me care enough about Grindelwald. And I think that's my biggest complaint about the movie.
Yeah.
It starts with these newspaper clippings. You never hear about him again. You see the little Deathly Hallows. Spoiler. And then boom, it's Grindelwald. And you're like, what?
Yeah, it doesn't really have much effect, and I think that's my main critique of the movie, is that the movie doesn't know what the story is about. It's okay, you start with all these newspaper clippings, and you're expected to be in this sort of really tense state of holy crap, there's a bunch of terrorist wizards running around. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't happen. And then, some of Newt Scamander's beasts get released on New York. Okay, maybe that's the problem we're trying to solve. And then that
But it was really only 3. There were 3 beasts.
Yeah, there was 3 of them, and then it turns out to just kind of have been wacky hijinks to get it back, which were funny. I'm coming down on this movie, but there were some genuinely funny moments. Really funny, good acting. I loved everything. I didn't love the plot, and the plot was just so confused. It never kind of came back around to, be important. The
movie both relied upon and tried to pretend that you didn't need to be a Harry Potter fan to appreciate this movie. Because on the one hand, it is completely different. It's dark, it's meant for adults, it's new characters, it's set 70-something years before Harry Potter.
The whole thing with Grindelwald only had weight if you knew who he was and knew why he was such a bad dude.
Right.
Because the movie never goes to the trouble of defining that for you.
Yeah.
So you really do have to be a Harry Potter fan, I think, to understand this movie.
So here's the thing that I've grappled with for 2 days, and this is something where I haven't decided yet if this is a good thing or a bad thing. I think my biggest gut complaint the day that we left the movie theater was that my problem with this movie is its marketing. Because as of right now, I do not understand why this movie series is called Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Right. Because for years, we were told that we were going to see the story of Newt Scamander. I imagined that this was going to be his coming of age story, that it was going to be him going and discovering all these beasts, having to fight against the people who, don't think that it's a worthy cause. And that is not what we got.
No.
What we got was meeting a very delightful Newt Scamander, who I love, and who is one of my current favorite characters in this franchise, having already collected all the beasts, and seemingly already finished writing his book.
Yeah.
And what it appears that we're actually getting is a Grindelwald story. 1926, which is when this movie is set, is the same year that Tom Riddle is born.
Okay.
Which seems like maybe not a coincidence, because they could have picked any year in the 20s.
Sure.
But they picked the one where Tom Riddle is born. J.K. Rowling has said that this series spans 19 years. And 1945, which is 19 years later, is when Dumbledore defeats Grindelwald. It's also the point at which Tom Riddle has already dropped out of school and presumably maybe even created some Horcruxes. We're now, knowing all of this is obviously going to be the story of Grindelwald's rise and fall, and potentially even have some crossover with Tom Riddle.
Okay.
However, what I am yet to understand is how seeing that through Newt Scamander's lens is the impactful way, and how he fits into this.
Yeah, why does he actually have a the best seat in the house to watch this? Because like you said, he's already written his book.
Yeah.
He gets off the boat in New York and gets basically immediately arrested. He has no time to go and do research and finish his thing. We find out why he's actually come to New York fairly in the middle of the movie. We find out the real reason. But Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them is not
done.
It's not part of the movie.
It seems very fishy that Newt Scamander like just is taking this random trip to New York in the middle of all this stuff. And so I've seen a theory that it was potentially Dumbledore who set him on this mission to return this Phoenix dragon thing to Arizona, which is kind of cool. However, I don't know how I feel about another series where Dumbledore is like being the chess master, like navigating a like brilliant youngster through the like tasks of defeating a dark wizard. Here's another thing that I had forgotten about because like I said, I had to revisit that whole Rita Skeeter like Dumbledore controversy. So one of the things, you probably remember this, one of the things that I said when we left the movie was like, I love the idea of an Obscurious, I loved like the whole Obscurious plotline, and it's just so disappointing that this was not something that ever came up in Harry Potter.
Okay.
But do you remember the plotline about Ariana Dumbledore?
Something she went mad, I think.
So basically what happened was Ariana was bullied by some muggles when she was young, and it made her, I guess, so ashamed of her magic that she suppressed it, and it burst out of her in destructive ways at weird times, including killing their mother.
Okay. So it sounds like the Obscurious thing that they like had invented for this movie that I thought they invented for this movie.
Right,
It
and
sounds
so
like
like,
it was
it seems like, you know, maybe that was something that they retconned, but it's there. Like, it is
awesome.
there.
That's
and
cool.
It never had a name, but it would make sense why Grindelwald is obsessed with the idea of, like, harnessing the power of an Obscurious for bad, because he would have seen it.
I thought it was a really great bit of world development to explore, like, okay, we only ever see the world through Harry's eyes. Like, that's always been a constant in the Harry Potter world.
Yeah.
So having a different aspect, a different, like, point of view on the Wizarding world, Newt Scamander, who's, like, really academically advanced, right? Like, he knows a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
So the fact that we get to see things through his eyes and we get a little bit more knowledge on, like, okay, this is what an Obscurious is, like, and he can diagnose an Obscurious attack just by the markings that it leaves, you know, like...
You know what else I like is that, you know, it's such like young adult dystopian novel form to have, like, the young person save the day, but it actually makes me appreciate in Harry Potter that the reason that Harry's at the center of this is wholly because of the prophecy, and now we're getting to see this other dark time in the Wizarding world through the eyes of the people who would probably actually be the ones solving it, like an Auror, you know, and someone who's extremely knowledgeable on the beasts that are being you know, taken advantage of for this plot. And so I really, that's something that, like, I can't stress enough. I appreciate so much that this franchise didn't just give us another, like, child prodigy and, you know, try to bring in a new wave of youngsters. Like, this was not a movie for kids. This was a dark film about adults.
Yeah.
I kind of wonder how parents and their kids are going to handle this.
I know, yeah, it's really dark. It lets people die. I actually want to talk about the like, form of this movie.
Yeah.
Because it takes a lot of liberties, and we're getting into things that we really like about this movie now.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of liberties with the typical formula. You know, the typical Hollywood formula. It's not some, like, Wunderkid who's, like, super powerful and everything. It's just this kind of, like, dorky guy. It doesn't end with a kiss and getting the girl. It doesn't. It lets some characters die. It has the courage to like, really wrench your heart and really surprise you. I found that really refreshing.
And let's not pretend that Eddie Redmayne isn't, like, the most attractive person we've ever seen. And that, you know, Queenie and Tina are both, like, very attractive women. But, like, Jacob, completely unexpected hero.
Yeah.
So dorky. So, like, heartwarming. I loved him.
Oh,
and, like,
so good.
not the person you'd imagine being a hero
The
in a Harry Potter
performances
film.
were so good.
Yeah. One thing I will say, though, speaking of the four main characters, is that I really still think that this movie could have done better in terms of diversity. Like, here's the thing. Did you know that this movie is technically set in Harlem?
Is it really?
He's staying in Harlem.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
You wouldn't know from the casting.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that they decided that a woman of color could be the president. However, she was kind of terrible.
She was awful.
She didn't have very much agency at all.
She was very one-dimensional.
Yeah.
Which, like, okay, maybe we didn't need that character to be, like, super fleshed out. We didn't need a House of Cards, right? But she could have had some sort of personal motivation.
Yeah.
And she really didn't. All right, I think the death sentence in American wizarding politics needs some unpacking.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's cool because it was Graves who did it. He was
Right.
just like, okay, you're all sentenced to death and go do it immediately. But at no point was anybody like, don't we need some paperwork on this?
They're like, yep, throw him in the pool. One of the things that's established very early on is like Newt says, you know, you American wizards have some really backwards laws on non-magical people, and he specifically references that we're not allowed to like fall. I say we like we're wizards.
Yeah.
That wizards are not allowed to fall in love with no-mages. And what really bugged me is that like one of the most charming like through lines of this film is Queenie's like ongoing fascination with Jacob, and at no point ever does anybody say like, ooh, I probably shouldn't be doing this. Like, there's nothing. It's not even like...
That was a great
like,
Queenie voice, too.
Yes, there was like this ongoing joke about Jacob getting obliviated, but it wasn't ever like, also though that's a no-mage, don't hang out with him because it's illegal.
Right.
So I wasn't sure why they set that up if it wasn't enforced.
Can I just register a complaint too about the word no-mage? I hate it. It's terrible. It ends in a J for some reason. The thing I hate most about it is the pluralization. No-mages is like so terrible. Whereas it could have just as easily been no-mag, and then it could have pluralized into no-mags, and it would have been so much more elegant. Done.
That doesn't actually bother me that much.
It's stupid. It's stupid and dumb, and it should bother and offend everyone.
I think that there's like, we can't possibly remember going back to the early Harry Potter days and learning all of those words for the first time, and I think it'll just grow on us. Like, I've already gotten used to Ilvermorny, even though I was like, that is the hardest word to say ever. Like, you had every possible option at your fingertips, and you chose Ilvermorny. I hope we go. Like, I hope we see the school.
That would be cool. That would be very cool.
It was disappointing to find out about Dumbledore's, like, affections for Grindelwald after the fact and not have it actually written into actual Harry Potter canon.
Yeah.
But it would be interesting to explore that now, because J.K. Rowling has said that it was this strange relationship where Dumbledore had these feelings for Grindelwald, which kind of allowed him to become duped by him a little bit, and how Grindelwald never really actually shared those feelings but used them to manipulate him.
Yeah.
And that would be really interesting to see, but I feel like we're past that point already. So unless we have flashbacks, which we might.
Yeah, we'd have to go back.
Harry Potter loves its flashbacks, so I'm thinking that's a potential, but I think now would be the time to actually have that whole plot line actually matter, because right now it's just like, it's a thing that J.K. Rowling told us, but it's not represented in canon, so it doesn't do anyone any good.
Right, exactly.
So I would love to see that. I also can't make a video about this without talking about the Johnny Depp thing.
Okay.
Because, like, I grappled with my feelings on this, and I know that it will probably cause controversy in the comments, but I don't care. I'm going to talk about it, because Harry Potter as a franchise is something that promotes love and respect and, like, good people, and there's a lot of evidence out there that Johnny Depp is not that. And so it's very frustrating to have him, even though he's an evil character, in real life he's a person who's like making money off his franchise for being in it and representing like a large part of this. And so it was really difficult for me to see him in this, and it's really difficult for me to support it. And I really, truly, truly hope that the people behind this movie listen to the fans and consider recasting, because I don't think he has a place in this universe, even as a bad guy.
Right.
You know?
Right. If he's gonna be in there, at least he's like the villain, the vile person, but still.
But like, I made it my vow that like I will consume this media, even though it's problematic for me, as long as I keep talking about it. So I had to say that, because I don't think that it's something that we should turn a blind eye to, because we have to speak up about this kind of stuff.
Yeah. I've always imagined Grindelwald as a very charismatic kind of like, I mean, he's basically like a Hitler surrogate, right? Like he's like this very charismatic, very likable, clever, insidious villain in a way that Tom Riddle wasn't quite, because Tom Riddle was always just like power. Yeah. So I really want Grindelwald to be like absolutely lovable. I want the audience to hate loving this guy. Yeah. Right? And then like see him do all this terrible stuff and just be like, ugh. Yeah. So the fact that Johnny Depp his performances are like consistently just like, I'm creepy. Yeah. It doesn't work for me. And the knee-jerk reaction of just like not liking him as a person doesn't let me have any room to appreciate Grindelwald as a character. Yeah, and like not liking the actor totally pulls you out of the movie. Here's a weird thing. This movie felt standalone. There was no cliffhanger element to this movie at all. That's the other thing, is like, Newt Scamander's story is over
I
now.
know.
He's done the thing that he needed to do. He's completed his book, and the only things that are left open are, like, maybe he'll come back and bring his book
or maybe
back.
He'll be forced to.
Yeah.
What I think is, like, his book might do so well that he's this unlikely hero thrust into, like, you're the only one who can help us fight this, and he does so reluctantly.
So he's, like, on a book tour? Like,
yeah.
So to follow his story, like, we don't need him to go back to New York. We do know, though, you know, him and Tina, obviously. Yeah.
Her name's Porpentina?
Porpentina.
Porpentina Goldstein.
That's your real name, right?
Yeah, I'm, by the way, so excited there's finally a character in Harry Potter who has the same name as me, Tina. We already know from family tree history that Porpentina Scamander and Newt Scamander were married, and that they had a kid who had Rolf Scamander who married Luna.
Well, yeah, everybody knows that. Why would you even... That's like... noob.
The point is that Tina obviously moves to the UK, and, like, you know, with Newt, like, they start this family line that continues to be a prominent family in the wizarding world. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. I mean, I feel like we will need to go back to the United States and, like, because of all of the, like, corruption with MACUSA, mm-hmm. but, like, their story ends in the UK. Mm-hmm. And obviously we're gonna get their love story. And I don't know about Jacob. Like, is Jacob gonna get his memory back?
I don't know.
Is he gonna, like, re-fall in love with Queenie? Is he just never gonna know about magic? Like, how cute would that be?
Right.
If she had a relationship with him and had to, like, hide all the magic.
Yeah, I think he's the best character in the whole thing.
He really is.
I mean, like, I love Newt Scamander. Like, that performance was amazing.
His
like,
mating dance?
Oh god, that was so fun. It was just there was so much fun in this movie. But I think Jacob just stole the show.
Oh,
stole
absolutely.
The whole show. Everything he did was just hilarious.
How often do, like, you know, as much as we love Harry Potter and pretend we're wizards and all of that, like, how great is it to see the wizarding world through the eyes of, like, basically us? Yeah. Like, the way that we would probably actually react if we saw these things, and how deep he gets to go before people are like, wait, what the hell is he doing here? You know, like, what an amazing experience that he gets to have, and how sad is it that he basically sacrifices his own, like, joy to know that he has to, like, keep the status quo of the wizarding secrecy, and, like, chooses to step out in the rain. Like, that was... It was just such a heartwarming moment. There were a lot of moments that I felt were really powerful in this movie. I thought that was one. But also, I think the most powerful moment for me, the one that, like, really actually, like, upset me in a big way, was, like, Graves had this weird, like, this kind of relationship with Credence, you know, like...
it was like this. You should show them again what it was like. It was like a lot of...
I'll teach you magic. It was so weird. But the moment when he decides that modesty must be the obscurial, and just is done with, is just done with Credence, and he hits him, like, I'm getting teary thinking about it. Like, this kid who's been, like, abused in his home life, and finally, this, like, creepo guy, but, like, still, like, you know, is nice to him, and then he realizes that, like, it was all a lie, and he's only ever gonna get, like, pushed around. Like, that was, like, tear-jerking moment. Like, that was dark. It was really scary and really sad. Like, this whole, like, whipping with a belt thing. Oh my god. Like, this puritanism, this, like, scary puritanism. Right, and then they kill him. Yeah. They straight up, killed this kid at the end of the movie. And, like, that is one of those things, those subversions that I was like, damn, that's great. Like, something that you don't usually see in a Hollywood movie. Like, the willingness to just be like, nope, this kid, because any other franchise, it would have found, and Harry Potter most of the time, would have found a way to save him. Now, I want to talk about what I think is probably the biggest question from this movie, which is, why does a wizard have to take a boat to America? However, I've been thinking about this, and I actually really hope that this wasn't just like, we want this, like, you know, quintessential 1920 shot of him, like, stepping off the boat. And I think we actually have a conversation about, like, international magical borders, potentially. Like, I realize it, because I left being like, couldn't he just apparate? But, like, it makes sense that you have to show your papers, and you can't just, like, apparate into different countries. I imagine that the UK and America, even the magical communities, there were probably some friction around that time. And so I think that it will be very interesting if it's something that's actually addressed, that, like, you can't just apparate between different countries. Well, and also, the limitations of magic are a question. We never see anybody just be like, well, popping off to Africa for a moment, like, bing! Because I always wondered, like, why weren't Beauxbaton and Durmstrang students, because they only brought the 7th years, why weren't they just apparating to Hogwarts for the events and then, like, sleeping in their dorms?
Right.
You know? So it's a really good question that we don't really know the answer to yet.
Everybody's apparating in this movie.
Oh my god.
Like,
everywhere.
They're apparating just like to get around. It's very just like, oh, well, gotta get to...
Did apparating look like that in the original movies?
I think it did. I think they've upscaled it a little bit.
I think there's a little bit more of a flourish.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like very casual means of doing things.
But again, we see the world from Harry's point of view, and he doesn't even learn how to apparate until the 6th book.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean, we don't know how much wizards and witches of age actually use apparition. Yeah. We don't actually really know.
But, like, apparating in the public street, too. Like, just people just, like, vroom. Their ability to repair massive damage, too, is, like, totally just taken for granted. Whereas, like, in Harry Potter, I don't think we really got, like, oh, this building has been disassembled.
Like,
okay, woo, all done.
It's like that one scene where they go to see Slughorn and the house is trashed, and then they, like, put the, like, Muggle's house back together. That's, like, the only time.
They do that, but like, at no point do they, like rewrite buildings and stuff like that.
Do you remember how difficult it used to be to turn, like, a rat into a teacup? Also, God, do Hagrid and Newt ever meet? I, like, want that so bad. I want that... They would be, like, such kindred spirits.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine Hagrid going... First of all, he wouldn't fit, but, like, going into the briefcase?
I think that they're gonna try and make that happen. I think that, obviously, Newt Scamander's book is the thing that gets Hagrid, like...
Yeah. He's just gonna, like, little Hagrid, like...
We're gonna see, like... that's gonna be the next movie. He's gonna be, like, at a book signing. Yeah, it's gonna be...
I love it.
Make it out to Hagrid. When Newt, like, uses this... he gives it to Frank. He gives this vial of stuff to Frank, who goes up and makes a thunderstorm, right?
Yeah.
And rains down on the whole city, and so the whole city is being obliterated by the rain. The vial he gives him is like a deadly toxin that has not been tested.
That's true.
Earlier in the movie, we see him like harvesting this stuff, and he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it can be useful in some way if diluted properly. Well, yeah, he did dilute it properly, but the point is...
He's pretty sure.
He didn't know what happened. Like, everybody might have died.
I think here's where I stand with it. I think that, like, I, for the most part, enjoyed this movie. Thinking about it more, I still think that the plot in this one's a little messy, but I think that ultimately there's a lot of really cool stuff they're going to be able to do. I'm hesitant about how much it'll intermingle with the existing books, as long as they don't do any crazy stuff, time travel crap.
Yeah.
Like, I'm hesitant, but I'm excited. I think what it is that, like, my door is open. Like, my Harry Potter door is open. And so far, I'm on board. It hasn't completely earned its place in, like, the special part of my soul that Harry Potter lives in. But so far, it's good. And I think that it could be great. I hope.
I agree. I think that this is very much, it's a movie that, like, had a lot of flaws, but had a lot of heart as well, and a lot of courage. So I would have said, like, watching this movie, I would have said, like, I'm excited to see the sequel. The fact that they've now announced that it's going to be 5 movies is it's a little bit daunting, because I don't think this movie was good enough to look at it and say, like, we need like as many of these as we possibly can. We need a whole Star Wars worth of these
I think
movies.
It'll be interesting, if they just drag it out, I think I'll be upset. But if they find a way to do something unique with each one, if they delve into like a different character or like a different, like, and also it spans 19 years, so maybe the next one is like 5 years later, you know? So like, I think if they have a very solid plan to make this worth 5 movies, then I will be happy that we get that much.
And I love the characters, I'm sure they'll find a way to get these people together.
Yeah.
Right?
So, this has been Fantastic Beasts and where to find them. Something that I think is really cool about this is that, like, look at us. We're getting to, like, theorize about the Harry Potter world again.
Yeah.
In ways that, like, for the last, however many years, we've just been able to, like, almost 10 years, we've only been able to sort of, talk about the questions that weren't answered and, like, what we wish we knew. But, like, we literally are going to get new things and we get to figure it out now, and it's really exciting. And so, like, whatever happens with this franchise, I'm excited that we get the chance to do this again.
Yeah, me too. I'm really excited. I can't wait for the next one, and we'll see about the ones after that.
Yeah. All right, thank you guys for watching. I would love to know your thoughts down below, and Yeah, Fantastic Beasts 2.
Here it comes.
Here it comes. Bye!
Bye!